Hello Summoners, welcome back to another ProGuides video. My name is Nathan Ing, and today we'll be talking about the 10 best supports on patch 12.5. While ADCs are the ones that usually pump out damage, everybody knows that support gap is what truly determines the better bot lane. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some of the strengths, playstyles, and builds that can help you take advantage of these picks to carry as support. We'll be starting things off with Senna. When it comes to actually carrying your games as a support, no one does it quite like Senna. At the end of the day, she's just another ADC after all. Except instead of farming minions, you'll be farming souls. Apparently, something that some players don't know about Senna is that you can get souls from hitting your opponents twice with abilities and attacks, so make sure that you're constantly doing this at all times. The earlier you get the souls, the quicker you get that ball rolling. More range means an easier time hitting foes, and an easier time hitting foes means that you can get even more souls. Eventually, when you reach a point where you're completely untouchable, you'll be easily hitting foes outside of their effective range. Another important thing about soul stacking is moving to where the minions are. A lot of support players tend to turn off their brain and just follow around the most fed player on the team, but you need to move to stacked ways when a teammate goes to catch them to maximize your souls. The same goes for jungle. When a teammate is clearing raptors or golems, there's a chance you could get 3 or 4 souls if you're lucky, so be sure that you hang out near them. Whether you're trying to learn to abuse the broken champions on this list, or how to deal with them when you end up on the wrong side of the matchup, if you really want to speed up the process, you should check out ProGuides.com. We offer courses from all your favorite streamers and pros, like Core JJ, Aframood, and Xmithy to really help you understand how to play your role. If you want a more personalized experience, we have coaches available 24/7, ready to help you guys become the best. Our coaches are top tier players that have spent years climbing the solo queue ladder to get where they are now, and they're ready to share everything that they've learned with you. You can find the link for our website down in the description box below. Now let's get back to the video, shall we? The second pick that we have for you is Janna. I can't really remember the last time that Janna wasn't super good. She has good lane presence with good poke and easy to use disengage that prevents even scary kill lanes from retaliating very much. Also, her naturally high movement speed gives you the ability to roam and be proactive around the map, something that most enchanter mains don't really do that often. I'm not gonna say cosplay Bard and perma roam the second you hit level 3, but when you find a good time for a roam, do it. You'd be surprised on how often Janna roams can result in free kills in the mid lane. As far as builds go, we really prefer Airy Page over Glacial Augment for more damage in lane and better shields later. If you want even more lane presence, you could take Scorch over Gathering Storm. Our next pick is Soraka. The sheer amount of healing that you can do with Soraka in a teamfight is absolutely insane. That makes her arguably the best scaling pick out of all the enchanters. And it's not like she just takes forever to come online either. Usually, a super strong late game is supposed to be counterweighted by a very weak early game, right? Well, she doesn't play by that rule. Soraka's laning phase is actually one of the most oppressive of any supports. Her Q spam makes it feel like you're laning against a mage rather than a regular support. Except when she hits a Q, she can heal up her ADC a ton, without costing that much of her own HP. Whether she doesn't have quite as much healing power as other supports, the slow from her Q and a well-timed E can be huge in cancelling out certain threats. It doesn't take being a genius to see a kit like Renata's and think that a champion is going to be absolutely broken. I go as far as to say that she's the hardest support to play in the game, and even then, her stats are pretty high. So when you take all the baddies dragging her win rate down into account, I'd say that she could arguably be the best support in the game. That statement is a little bit nuanced though. She isn't just hard for you to play as, but she's also a champion that needs allies that understand how to play with her. You could absolutely do everything right, but if your teammates don't synergize well with your efforts, it could all be in vain. For example, you may land a 5-man ultimate, but if you have an Amumu that flashes and ults right afterwards, he's preventing them from killing each other. As far as builds go for Renata, there's a couple of different variants that you can go for. The all-around standard weighted build is like an enchanter with Mandate or Cerelius, but you can also go for Locket of Iron Solari if you want to be tankier or need the AoE shield. When you do that, be sure to always go for Redemption as your second item, since it synergizes so perfectly with Locket. The award for the longest standing member of S tier or higher goes to Lulu. I honestly can't even remember a time where Lulu wasn't one of the best supports in the game. Seriously, I think she's been super good all of this season so far, and she's totally dominated all of season 11. She has super strong trading, with the highest sustained damage output of any enchanter, and probably any support, period, thanks to Pixie. She's great at peeling, buffing up a hybrid carry, and her ultimate is a good way to stop enemy divers or give her own divers more staking power. I also have my own secret leveling style for Lulu. The standard skill to max first on Lulu is E, but I've always been a huge fan of maxing W first. Giving her ADC more attack speed is nice, but that's not the main reason I do it. I actually like it because of how good it is at shutting down enemy threats. Maxing it takes it from 1.25 seconds up to 2.25 seconds. An extra second may not seem like much, but in terms of all-in fights, that's easily enough to net a free kill on an opponent. Speaking of free kills, our next pick is Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank is a champion that is never really bad, since his hooks always add a wildcard factor to the game. You can go 30 minutes without even really doing much, and then hit that one hook that gives your team an inhib, Baron, or even the entire game. But right now, Blitz is especially good. That's because the support meta is so full of squishy champions at the moment. Whether it's enchanters, Senna, or mages, hitting a hook on any of these opponents is almost always going to result in a kill. Having so much pressure in lane usually means that your foes are going to let you and your ADC just push them into the turret in an attempt to play safe. But all this really does is opens you up to roaming opportunities so you can go and win the rest of the map. If your playstyle's a lot more mild, focus on scaling and winning teamfights later, maybe Sona is the pick for you. She doesn't really provide much in lane aside from a little bit of poke and sustain, but when you reach those mid to late game teamfights, her constant buff spam has insane impact. She's really good right now for the same reason Blitzcrank is. All the meta supports are generally lower threat champions, so even in your losing matchups, you aren't really in danger of being killed. It's more being pushed under your tower and your ADC being down some farm. They're not going to be happy about it, but who cares? But as long as you aren't actually dying, you should be able to outscale your opponents once it's time to group up and 5v5. The other thing that I'll probably say is that you want to probably ban Blitzcrank. More than any other enchanter, Sona can't at all deal with him in lane. If you want to run a fun off-meta pick, maybe Taliyah is something that you'd be interested in. And she's not just some cheesy pick that good players use to pub stomp in low elo. Taliyah is legitimately a good aggressive support pick that even works at the top of the ladder. Landing a single combo does a ton of damage, and if your ADC is close enough to follow up, should almost always result in blowing some summoners or just straight up securing a kill. Aside from dominating lane, Taliyah also has good roaming thanks to her passive. Use this to go up and help your jungler in scuttle fights, or to go for a gank on the enemy mid laner if you see them pushing up too far. For your last item, we have Wardstone as the suggested one, but if you're super fed, don't mind them giving the extra vision control, you should sell Wardstone for Rabadons once you have enough gold. I know a lot of whiny ADC mains out there don't really consider mages real supports, but I think it's healthy for the game to see off-meta options like this. And that brings us to today's question of the day. What's your favorite off-meta support pick? My answer to this used to be Maokai, but nowadays, it's top lane Maokai that would be considered off-meta. So I guess my next answer is probably LeBlanc. It's pretty feast or famine, but when it works out, it sure feels great. But that's just me, we want to hear from you. Let us know your answers down in the comments below. Rell makes our list of best supports, but she's not the one that you want to blindly lock in. She does super well as a counterpick, but when you're the one that ends up being counterpicked, she suddenly becomes incredibly useless. The champions you want to avoid playing her against at all costs are Renata, Janna, Soraka, and Morgana. Anything else is at least doable, but the absolute best time to pick her is when the enemy team picks an engaged support, or just a lot of engage in general. That's because Rell's entire identity is being a champion focused on counter-engaging. She steals resistances, making it easier for your team to kill the enemy frontliners, and then has this big CC chain to prevent the rest of the team to follow up. So with all that being said, when you pick her, you'll almost always want to be playing reactively. It's not impossible to start a fight on your own, but you'll look pretty silly if you W at the enemy team and then miss, since you're stuck just waddling around once your speed is lowered to a crawl. Finishing off our list, we have Zyra. She's hands down the absolute best pick if you're the type of player that just wants to be completely dominating any lane matchup. Like any good mage support, Zyra can help your ADC push out the wave with her AoE damage, while her plants provide a ton of poking power. Plus, the plants have the minor bonus of being able to block skill shots. Usually the answer to a poke mage support is just to go for an all-in, but Zyra doesn't really have that weakness. Her plants provide really good extended damage as well. And post 6, the burst of damage from your ultimate and the attack speed buff that you give to your plants all but guarantee that you'll trade back a kill or two, if you even die at all. And that wraps things up for our 10 best supports on patch 12.5. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, make sure you sub so you never miss out on our meta guides, and you're always on the loop on what the best picks are. Remember, let us know what your favorite off-meta supports are down in the comments below. And one last thing, don't forget to check out our Discord in the description box below, where you can enter our giveaway or just hang out and be part of the community. I can't wait to see you guys back in the next video, but until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.